Ladies and gentlemen, the burden of the people is to establish all the elements of the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt, no more and no less. I am also required, members of the jury, to charge you with respect to the elements of the punishment. As I told you previously, the question of the possible punishment of the defendant should he be convicted on any count is of no concern to you. It should not enter in any sense into your deliberations or influence them in any way. If there should be a finding of guilt as to the defendant on any count, the duty of imposing sentence rests exclusively with the court. It is of no concern of yours, members of the jury. Now, members of the jury, I am going to consciously and intentionally refrain from reviewing the evidence in this case, lest by some inadvertent emphasis or unintentional omission, I appear even remotely to suggest to you the course you should follow. I point out to you that this case has been a rather brief one, as much as a full day of testimony has been had. I am heartened in not reviewing the testimony, because as I watch this jury, and I have confidence that you have paid attention, and I am sure that you have all followed conscientiously and attentively, and I know all of you have that determination to be fresh, and it is present in your mind that the outside world is watching, especially as you sit in the jury box, and more especially in the jury room, in determining the credibility, the truthfulness, and the believability of witnesses who come into court and swear to tell the truth. Now, should you desire all or part of any witness's testimony read back to you, do not hesitate to notify me of your request, and such testimony will then be read to you by the court reporter. Also, if you desire any or all exhibits that have been offered and received in evidence, a like request to the court officer in charge of the jury room will be relayed to me, and I will be pleased to comply with such request. Now, I charge you further that whenever you can consistently reconcile conflicting testimony, it is your duty to do so, because human experience has taught us that persons seeing the same event at the same time may not be able to describe it in exactly the same way. Where, however, you find any conflict of testimony that you cannot reconcile, do not hesitate to cast aside that which you deem exaggerated, incorrect, or false, and accept that which you deem to be true. Where the inference to be drawn from the evidence is as consistent with innocence as it is with guilt, then the inference of innocence must prevail. That concludes the first portion of my charge with respect to the general principles, and we now proceed to the part dealing with the specific crimes set forth in the indictment in this case. We shall now consider the crimes, as I said, charged in the indictment and the law applicable thereto. Under the first count in this indictment, the defendant essentially is charged with the crime of first-degree murder arising out of the alleged shooting and killing of one Sam Crane. The second count of this indictment charges the crime of criminally possessing a loaded pistol and refers to the gun allegedly used in this shooting. Now, the indictment charges this defendant with the commission of the type of crime known as homicide. As defined in the penal law, homicide is the killing of one person, one human being, by the act, procurement, or omission of another. We have several different degrees of homicide. For your purpose, I am going to charge you today upon 3 of those degrees. These crimes are known as murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree, and manslaughter in the first degree. Members of the jury, whether you find the defendant guilty or not guilty of felony murder, either way you will then proceed to consider the crime of common law murder. Do you follow me? Whether you find a motive or not, that is, a motive for a killing, is unimportant. A motive is not an element of any of the crimes that I will submit to you. You need not find a motive that is not an element of any of the crimes. Now, coming to the common law murder, that count reads, The defendant in the County of New York on or about April 14th, 1982, with intent to cause the death of Police Officer John Mills, caused the death of Police Officer John Mills by shooting him with a pistol and thereby inflicted various wounds upon him. And thereafter, on or about April 20th, 1982, said Police Officer John Mills died of said wounds. Common law murder is an intentional killing. Felony murder is a killing committed during the course of the commission of a felony. So now we are talking about common law murder and intentional killing. There was no doubt 200. How was it?
My software even says it's 214, but
No, it's 200.
it's okay.